Firstly, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we're currently meeting today. I'd also like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Thank you so much for coming onto this fair for an Allied Health Kickstarter event. Essentially what we're going to go through today is we've got three wonderful ladies here in the allied health space. We've also got one of my colleagues, Christine, on this call. But essentially, we're going to ask some questions around who they are and what they actually do, and types of things that you can do to put your best foot forward in looking for employment in the allied health space, and specifically for these employers. And then throughout the course of today, there's going to be some other presentations as well. Some of who would be employers that you see on this call. Others will be different. And what I'll do towards the end of this presentation, I'll be able to share a live link to you to just give you access to their graduate employer profile, to give you access to the jobs that they're currently posting as well. But as a quick introduction, my name's Elliot. I work at Prospel. Some of you would know as Grad Australia, which is the jobs board that we use to attract students. And I've been in the early talent space for about 3 years now, both as an employer. I've hired graduates before myself, and now obviously in the customer facing role. But essentially we'll go around the room and do a quick introduction for the panel members on this call. If we can start with yourself, Belinda. So if you can just introduce yourself and essentially describe what National 360 does.
Thanks, Elliot. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. So National 360, we're a national allied health provider. So we're across 5 states of Australia: Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, West Australia and Tasmania. Sorry, that's 6. And we're a multidisciplinary allied health company. We are a private company, but we're owned and operated by Heidi and Anthony Long, who are a husband and wife team. We have over 200 clinicians nationally. We have occupational therapists, speech therapists, physiotherapists, allied health assistants, and behaviour support practitioners. In terms of myself, I'm an occupational therapist by background. I've worked for over 20 years in public health, private health, NDIS and aged care. Really passionate about supporting graduate employment more generally, not only for National 360, but just as a clinician contributing back to the allied health space. I really see the NDIS has particularly created such an amazing marketplace for diversity for graduates, and National 360 is really committed to that. And I recall as a graduate, I was just telling Elliot earlier that I had to take off to a rural Mount Isa base hospital position, and I had absolutely no support when I landed there. I had a guy that had been waiting on a surgical ward for me for 2 weeks to have a splint put on his flexor tendon repair. And the only thing I can describe about my first day as a graduate is absolute fear. So I've made it my goal as an allied health practitioner and a leader in the business and the NDIS to make sure that none of our graduates ever feel the feel that I felt on my first day as an allied health clinician. So really excited to be here, Elliot, and looking forward to some questions from the group.
Great, thank you so much, Belinda. How about yourself, Elizabeth?
Yeah, hi guys. So I'm Liz and I'm based in Sydney. I work for Learning Links, and we're a not-for-profit children's charity, and we provide services for kids who have learning difficulties and disabilities. So we are Sydney-based, but since about 18 months ago, we've also been doing lots more online services, as I'm sure everyone has had a little venture into in the last little while. But yeah, we have speechies, we have OTs, we have education support specialists, we have psychologists and provisional psychologists, and we have early intervention programs running as well. So supporting kids either with NDIS funding or privately paying, who have some difficulties with their learning and need our help. So it's nice to be here. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Liz. And finally, yourself, Georgie.
Hello. Hi everyone, I am Georgie. So I work for Early Start Australia. And my role is I'm a practice principal and senior OT of our Budgeon clinic in the Sunshine Coast. But Early Start in general is, as I said, like a national private allied health company, and we work primarily in paediatrics. So most of our clinics go from sort of 0 to 18, some to 25. So the age ranges that we see, and mostly we work in the space of working with kids with autism, intellectual and developmental delays. So I counted this morning, we have 39 clinics across Australia, I think in every state and territory apart from Tasmania at the moment. And it seems to be growing pretty rapidly, which is really exciting for us. And we have a whole range of different clinicians that are part of the teams. So we have OTs and speechies, psychologists, behaviour practitioners, ABA therapists, I'm looking at my list, therapy assistants, early childhood educators, and we have therapy dogs, which I left off originally and I just noted down because that is very important. So yes, no, really glad to be here. Happy to answer any questions. Yeah.
Great, thanks so much, team. And just quickly for any of the students currently watching this presentation, if you have any questions throughout the panel session, feel free to put them in the Q&A function at the bottom. If we can answer them live, we will. If someone's got an answer to it, they can just text out, they can do it. But we're going to have a 10-minute Q&A function towards the end of this panel session as well. In regards to yourself, Liz, so I guess what would be the most important piece of advice that you give students kind of aspiring to work in the allied health sector?
Look, I think there's so many great organisations to work for in this sector, and it, you know, as I think someone has said already, Belinda, maybe it's changed a lot since we were graduates and we were going through allied health. There's a lot of amazing organisations to work for, and I think that can feel a bit overwhelming. I think what's really important is, you know, you've had your heads in uni, you've been so busy with the day-to-day of that. Have a step back and think about what you want in a job, what you want in a team, what you want in a work culture. You know, work is such a big part of our lives, and we spend so much of our time at work. It's really important to work in an organisation where you agree with the mission and the values, where you have colleagues that you get along with, where you feel supported and you're part of the team. And there, you know, are so many organisations like that. It's also important to think about what you want. You're in high demand, so you have some choice about the type of organisation that you want to work for, the type of work and how that's delivered. So have a think about it, because employers will ask you and try and find out if that's going to suit what they do and where they're coming from.
I can see a lot of nods from yourself, Belinda. Was there anything else that you'd like to add, or anything specifically around what sort of advice you would give to students?
Yeah, look, I was very similar to Liz. You know, it's an extremely competitive market at the moment, and I think it's very easy to get caught up in earning dollars and what your dollar package is as you graduate. But these are really important foundational years for you as a practitioner. You're still going to be in a different type of learning phase, but still in a novice learning phase. And it's really important to assess what's important to you for the whole package, not just the dollars that are attached to that package. So, you know, asking questions around what clinical and professional support you'll receive from an organisation, you know, who is part of your team, you know, understanding the values of the organisation, you know, ours are things like going above and beyond and raising the bar. It's important to us, not around your level of experience, but that you're committed to being part of our circle of support and part of our team. So my advice was really about looking at the whole package with employers and understanding the things that are really important and valuable to you.
Yeah, I'm not in the allied health space, but I can definitely second that in regards to not chasing dollars. I've done it before. I was not happy. So I think just finding a company that aligns with the values that you have. And if they align with some, try it out. But yeah, really aligning with the company that's got your best interests at heart, I think it's a really important approach as well. Anything else from yourself, Georgie, in regards to specifically about Early Start, or just kind of how you came into the industry and what you did well?
What would I add? I would add also just really understanding the level of support that you're going to receive as a graduate, and kind of thinking about the value of that as well. I agree with Belinda about, looking at the whole package, and that I think includes the level of support that you're going to receive, and sort of really understanding, is that going to be in person? Is that going to be via Zoom? Is your supervisor going to be able to come in and join you with sessions? Are you going to be able to shadow sessions with your senior clinicians? I think that is something that I would really advise people to ask questions around, something that as a grad I didn't have access to, as I think many people here have alluded to. You know, when we all started, we were sort of all thrown in the deep end because that's what an early career therapist's job looked like. And now it doesn't look like that, which is great. And so find out what your opportunities are.
Brilliant. Some good, I think, a very common theme in regards to those responses, which is what we want to get out of these. We want to get a consistent theme as to what students can do, kind of looking into to get into this industry. And in regards to your organisation specifically, Georgie, so what does Early Start look for in an application? Like, what do students actually need to do to progress kind of through the application process and through that recruitment process?
Yeah, so I mean, all graduates, everyone out there graduates with, you know, the ability to do the job. And so what we really want to see in an application is a bit of them, a bit of you, I should say, to everyone out there. We want to see other jobs that you've held, whether that's, you know, been working at McDonald's, or have you been working, you know, as a babysitter, have you been working as a support worker? Like, that tells us something about you. Do you have other interests? I get really excited when I see people's resumes where they, you know, have some cool talents that they're telling me about on their resume. And I really want to see willingness to learn, and that that they're really keen to sort of develop skills, and why they feel like Early Start or whatever company you're applying to would be a good place for you to develop your skills. And why do you think that our values align with your values? That's really what I look for.
Yeah, I really like the tip around the putting those hobbies on CVs. I think sometimes it can get overlooked, especially if you're in a recruitment function where it's quite a high volume. But I think I know when I was recruiting, those are the little things that I'd look for. Like, for example, if one of their hobbies is playing footy, I'm like, well, half of my business plays footy, so I'm pretty sure you'll get along with half of our team, because it's something that's aligned with the business and the culture. So obviously, yeah, that's just a kind of anecdotal example, but I think just putting out there what you like and what you enjoy. And if that business isn't aligned with that, then it might not be the right business for you. So it'll allow you to really kind of align with what you're passionate about as well. How about yourself, Belinda? Anything specifically around National 360 and then kind of how students can put their best foot forward with you guys?
Yeah, look, I definitely concur with Georgie again. You know, we're really interested in hearing what else you've been doing. As you know, as Georgie said, you know, we know that you come out with great skills. The quality of skill acquisition is phenomenal in Australia from our tertiary sector. We obviously love to see people that have worked in community or disability sector, because what it shows us is that you innately value people and persons. So that's really important part, particularly of working with clients in the NDIS. But, you know, the importance of seeing that you've been doing other things, whether it is, you know, work related, research related, you know, those sorts of things, is that it shows us that you've got some level of autonomy and ability to have all those other professional skills. And I know we're going to talk about, you know, challenges in your first year, but often that's probably the bigger challenge for most people moving into full-time employment is, you know, how do I sort of manage that? So by demonstrating to us, you know, those other skills that you come with is really, really important. And just that ability to be part of a team as well. You know, if you've already worked in team environments, you know, it's great for us to have that understanding. So that extends to your sport analogy, Elliot, you know, volunteering, you know, those sorts of things just really indicates the kind of person that you are. And, you know, it's certainly what jumps out as us, because it, again, it aligns to our values above and beyond. So, you know, it tells us that you're doing those extra things in your life, and that's going to really mean you're going to be well suited to our National 360 family.
Yeah, great. And I think, again, I think you'd bang on, Belinda, in regards to the technical expertise of graduates is of an expected level when they come out of university, and a really difficult transition can be assimilating into a business culture, because universities and employers are very, very different in how they operate and how they communicate. So putting your hand up, and I think even putting your hand up in your first, I don't know, I still ask a lot of questions, and I'm nearly 10 years into my career. So I think not being afraid to ask questions, especially when you're first starting, because the people around you want to help. And I mean, you're coming in and you're a graduate, you're not expected to know everything. Yep. You can be 5 years into your career and you're still not expected to know everything. You're expected to know more, but there's going to be a certain level of people they're going to want to help you. They want you to succeed in that business. So just really asking those questions as well early on in your career. And
Yeah.
hopefully it's a trait that you'll have throughout the whole of your career. I'm sure Belinda still asks questions.
Yes, absolutely. And it's gone a bit out of fashion, Elliot. I'm not sure why, but if you're really passionate about working for an employer, give them a call before you even apply. I'm
speaking
not
my
sure
language, Belinda.
Yeah, I don't know why it's fallen out of fashion, but we love to get to know you as a person. And sometimes, you know, with high volumes, and I'm sure I can see Liz and Georgie nodding, it can be difficult, but you know, a lot of us have recruitment specialists working just with graduates. So pick up the phone and find out about us, look at our website, you know, look at our values and have some understanding of how that applies to you. So when you come through that recruitment process, your personality really shines as well.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. And finally, yourself, Liz, anything specifically with Learning Links that that students can kind of put their best foot forward with you guys?
Yeah, no, I agree with what everyone said so far, and definitely the quality of graduates is excellent. You know, we also know, I think, you know, you will have done a bunch of reflection through your placements at uni and grown a lot. But, you know, our professions are all learning professions. We never, ever stop learning. And I think lots of workplaces are really committed to learning. So you're not going to know everything when you graduate, but you do need to think about, well, what am I going to do if I don't know what to do? Who am I going to go to? You know, what evidence am I going to look at? You know, we get lots of graduates apply and they say, oh, I'm going to be evidence-based. And we ask, well, how? What does that look like? Where are you going to find the evidence? You're not going to have 7 hours a day to be combing through research articles. So starting to talk about, you know, applying evidence in a clinic-based or a community-based context is really important. But I think also thinking about, you know, from, like I said, from your placements and from your reflections and feedback, what are you good at? What do you suck at? What are you naturally drawn towards? I know that's a really cheesy question in an interview, but you know, if you can say, oh, you know, look, this particular thing is really not my jam. I've had a really hard, challenging time with it, but here's how I'm working towards developing my skills in that area. That really shows us that you're committed to learning and growing as a professional, and that you can ask for help for that particular area from the people around you as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point that you mentioned, Liz. Like if you've got something that's a weakness or something that you want to work on, providing examples on what you're actually doing to rectify it. For example, if it's work ethic, okay, like I need to get up and you've got a strict routine in the morning and I do X amount until this time. And then, so just what are you actually trying to do to combat that weakness? I've always been the one that focused on your strengths and double down on them, but you can't leave your weaknesses aside. You need to also focus on them, but really looking into that and seeing what they are. It takes a lot of self-reflection. Sometimes when you come straight out of university, you've been told a lot of this, like there's a lot of technical things that you've been learning for the last 4 years or 5 years, whatever it be. So when you get into the workplace, it's a bit of a rude shock in regards to now your weaknesses might come out in your first year, and that's when you can start to really reflect and start to really focus on them, because it will allow you to just continually develop kind of year on year and month on month. So that's a really, really good piece of advice there, Liz. And
hey,
back to you. Sure, you're up.
Sorry, can I jump in just on
sure.
that? I was just thinking, as a graduate listening to that, how would I tell people about that? And I think that talking about your placements on your resume and in your cover letter and at your interviews are really good time to discuss some of those things. So telling us about what your responsibilities were on placement, what some of the challenges that you faced and how did you overcome them, what areas are you continuing to improve on. I think that's a really good space to discuss those things if you were going to put them in.
Definitely.
Right. Yeah, thank you very much, Georgie. And we'll stay with yourself, Georgie. So for graduates who do land a role with Early Start, what's a key piece of advice you give them to survive in their first year, and what should they not do?
I think we've already said this, but I think you've got to ask questions. You have got to ask millions of questions to everybody that you can, and don't be afraid to ask them again. You know, we believe in you. That's why we have you on our team, and we want to see you succeed. And so if you hide away and you don't tell us when things are not going as well as you want them to, or you're feeling a bit worried, a bit nervous, come and let us know, because it's part of our job is to support you and guide you through that. So that is probably my number one. And then work with your supervisor to develop those really good work skills. And by that, I mean your boundaries, managing your mental health, managing your time with clients, making sure you get breaks, all of those sorts of things. Don't put that pressure on yourself to fill every second of your day with client-facing work and burn out really fast. You know, work at a pace that works for you and communicate really well with your supervisor around what that looks like, at what times. Yeah, and just give yourself the time to learn. We don't expect you to be perfect when you come. That's why we have, you know, all have amazing grad programs to provide you with some learning on the job and different, you know, webinars and things like that to attend. So let us know what you feel comfortable with. Let us know what things you want to work on and create a bit of a learning plan with your supervisor. And I have things that you probably shouldn't do. I think are probably the opposite of what you should do. You shouldn't keep to yourself. You should definitely keep good boundaries or shouldn't overstep your boundaries. And you shouldn't neglect your mental health and your self-care coming into the workspace.
Yeah, I think that's a really important one, especially in regards to, because I know it's obviously a high demanding industry. It's a lot of pressure. So I think there's a fine line with mental health in regards to putting it first and making excuses. But I think most of the time you're probably going to be in the right. So really make sure it's at the forefront of your mind, and it will most likely be the forefront of your mind of your supervisors as well. Because we really want to make sure that that's happening for everyone as well. How about yourself, Belinda? Anything specifically around what advice you'd give for students coming into National 360 and what not to do?
Yeah, well, I had two very similar again to Georgie. The first one was communicate.
Yeah.
And so, you know, keeping that very simple, but, you know, with all the people that are involved with your onboarding and your supervision and your clinical and professional support, you know, we certainly have an equal value on your personal and professional well-being. So, you know, the more you can communicate around that and find a level of comfort with it, and find relationships that you can trust, I think that's critically important. Probably my biggest one there is, though, don't fake it till you make it. Be really honest with everyone that you are a graduate allied health professional, and I include your clients in that mix. You know, I'm really a big passionate advocate about the value that allied health graduates can have for our clients and our participants. You know, you're fresh out of uni, you've got enthusiasm, you've got new ideas, you've got the best research available to you, you've got that ability to research outcomes and therapy support that's going to create great outcomes for those individuals. So it's have the confidence to not fake it, you know, and speak to your clients and work with them around their needs, and say, hey, you know what, Elliot, this is the first time I've seen a child with autism, but you know what, at my business, we have great clinical support. So I'm going to take all the information you've given me today and talk to my clinical supervisor and come back to talk to you about your plan for therapy and what might create a great outcome for you. And I'm really passionate about that, and you know, being really proud that you're a graduate allied health professional working with your clients. No,
that's a really good. And I think having that level of uniqueness the allied health industry has, and how involved you can be with your clients, I think is something that you don't get in a lot of industries. So I think it's really, really something to be proud of, and to make sure that you're obviously taking the right steps and asking the right questions to ensure that you're delivering for your clients as well. And anything from yourself, Liz, in regards to learning links and specifically around students coming into your program and what not to do as well?
Yeah. Look, I think that the challenges and the things that are great for new graduates are, like the other ladies have already said. I think, you know, we want our new grads to do the best with what they know right now and reach out for support for things that they are new to or don't know. And as Belinda said, you've got so many things to bring and new ideas. So, you know, let them fly, let us hear them. The other thing I'd say in your first year is just, you know, whether that's, you know, within your team or your site or your organisation, is to talk to the other therapists that are working, even if you don't see them all the time. You know, I'm sure we have lots of people working in different places, but there are so many other people that will be doing the same job that you are doing, or a similar job, and working with a similar caseload to who you're working with. And everybody has amazing ideas and resources. So, you know, when you start and you panic and you go, oh my God, I have to make all these resources for all these people I'm going to be seeing for therapy. There's a bunch of stuff out there. It's great to make your own stuff too, but there's a bunch of stuff out there and people have just really great ideas of things you can try that's already ready to go, and just saves you a little bit of time and stress. The other thing I'd really encourage is to keep in touch with the people that you studied with in terms of the peer support network. I still have a WhatsApp chat with some of the girls I went to uni with. We're all working in really different areas in allied health, but we still ask each other questions about whatever area we're working in, or ask for where do you go to for resources, or where can I find more information on this? This is totally new for me. So keep in touch with your cohort. And there are also sort of other things like, you know, Speech Pathology Australia have an early career network. And I'm sure there are other sort of Facebook groups and similar things where you can talk to other allied health professionals and about ideas, resources, support, all of that kind of thing. So really important to start that, and then you'll probably maintain it for your whole career as well.
Yeah, that's such a good point, Liz. I think the networking side of things, similar to people picking up the phone, Belinda, I think it drops, it seems to be year on year. So I think, like, using myself as an example, I moved from Perth to Melbourne when I was 22 with absolutely no network. So I had to build it from scratch. And networking events were the core part of that. So, and outside of that, it was like being visible on things like LinkedIn. There's a lot of resources on there on not just employers, but what other people in your industry are doing and what they're talking about. And eventually it will give you that ability to be an expert in your field, where you can really talk about a wide range of different topics. And you've just got good networks and you know who to reach out to if you've got a question. And you can start to really build a professional network, because all the people that I know, and it's really helpful to getting jobs as well moving forward. I've been referred for the last 3 jobs that I've had. So it's one of those things that networking is just a really core part of day-to-day life. You network with your friends and things like that. So networking with professionals is a really good way to just get a good understanding of the industry. But like Liz said, learning about what your other people in your industry are actually doing. Are they doing things differently to you? And you can start to really build a really good understanding about different things and what works and what doesn't. And as the industry as a whole benefits from that as well, if everyone's constantly speaking to each other. And finally, with yourself, Georgie, anything specifically with Early Start in regards to students who land a job with you? What's the advice? And I've already done this with you, I believe. Yes. Have I done that with everyone? I've went through everyone.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You covered us all, Elliot.
Cool. First mistake of the day. That's all good. So I guess we've got about 10 or so minutes. We had actually had a question come through from one of the students. I'll just put it out to the team. Belinda has answered it directly, but I'll just put it out to the rest of the team. We've got about 10 minutes. So we've got a student online who's got a Bachelor of Health Science degree and has worked as a disability support worker for nearly 3 years. So just understanding what she or him's job prospects, I guess, at the respective companies would be.
Yeah, I'll go first if you like. It would be the same for us in terms of working as a therapy assistant. But we, keep in mind, we also sort of outside the allied health space, we also have, customer facing roles, front desk support, administration support. So we also are looking for people who, we do have people who work front desk and greet our clients and things like that. They may be studying in that space and want a little bit of experience, sort of working in an organisation before they have their master's qualifications or while they're working through uni or things like that. So that's what that would look like at Learning Links.
Yes, and I think it's the same with Early Start. I think we would, if Early Start, if we were a company that you were keen to find out more about, we would have a bit of a conversation about what job would suit you. Would you like to be a customer facing member of our team and take referrals and answer phone calls, and do you want to come in with our groups and help out with some group programs, which is always really fun, or like TA support is always a great option to kind of dip your feet in and see if what we do is of interest for you to keep kind of exploring with your career. Sorry, Belinda, I cut you off.
No, all good. Look, I've already answered it written, but probably what I was going to suggest too is I'll just give a bit of a broader NDIS industry plug, Elliot. Someone with a really solid undergraduate degree with experience having worked in the sector like that would make a great support coordinator or, service delivery support type role, because you've already got that direct one-to-one support experience, plus, an undergraduate degree that lets you have that broader knowledge. So really, if it's not one of our companies, I certainly encourage you to stay and look at those type of client customer facing roles in the sector, because we need people that have had both service experience in the sector plus, really foundational core knowledge skills as well. So I just wanted to add that bit in. So
yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
And what I've also done to whoever asked that question, I've just shared in the chat links to both learning links, Early Start, National 360, just their jobs page on Great Australia. There's a specific job for this event, so if you want to register your interest there, but the employers will most likely reach out off the back of this if you wanted to ask any more questions as well, but just so you've got that handy. As a final question, and you don't have to do it in one sentence like it says, but why should students apply with your organisation? We'll start with yourself, Liz.
Yeah, for sure. Look, I think if you want to be a part of a really amazing and supportive team who are really dedicated to making a difference in kids' lives, and you are a learner and you're a problem solver, then that's all about what we do. Everything we do is about supporting children, but we also have such an amazing team of people that really like each other and love to work with each other and love coming to work. So yeah,
God, that makes a difference, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. How about yourself, Georgie?
I love what Liz said about, people wanting to come in and have fun and just genuinely enjoy coming to work. So, I feel that every day when I come here. But yeah, Early Start itself, if you want to work in pediatrics, if you want to work from like the best evidence and with a company that really values professional development and support, but that also has like an amazing team of professionals in all different areas with all different areas of expertise. That's really what ESA, I guess, values. And yeah, I agree. That willingness to have fun. I think Early Start, you can't work in pediatrics if you're not willing to get on the floor and have a good time and play with dinosaurs for half the day. So that's why I love working at Early Start.
That's great. How about yourself, Belinda?
We adult therapists like to have fun too, Georgie. We just get on the floor for different reasons, so not dinosaurs necessarily. So, but no, we do adult and peds as well. But I guess, for us at National 360, we did a name change earlier this year, and we were traditionally an OT company, and that didn't really reflect who we were, and we changed to National 360. And the reason that I picked that up is, that's us. We are 360. We're holistic, and one of the concepts we have embedded in our graduate program is a 360-degree circle of support. And that's about you being in the middle and putting all of that support around you as you start your career. We know that working in community allied health practice can be really difficult and really complex, but we know that it can be extremely rewarding because it's client focused and there's a real diversity of casebook and that ability to work with clients, families, and a whole range of stakeholders. And you won't get that experience necessarily in a hospital setting. So for us, it's that circle of support, having access to a great team leader, a fantastical clinical supervisor, having access to graduate peer groups. So we have those running as well, having a clinical educator who's there designated for your needs, and then also having access to clinical practice advisors who are experts in their field. So when you get those complex problems, you've got a full circle of support around you, and that's complemented by that investment in you personally and professionally. We're really proud of that. Our name talks to that and our program talks to that. It's a whole package, and that's why we really feel like we can give you the best start to your careers.
I love hearing people sell their companies. It's the best. It's so good. Thank you all so much. We've actually got one more question that's come through. So we've got a student here who's currently doing their first year Bachelor in Psychology. So I was wondering if there's any opportunity to start to get into the industry, I guess, before before they actually graduate, and what those opportunities would look like.
Yes, would
Open
be
to
the
the
short
floor.
answer.
Yeah.
Look, I think a lot of, as we've mentioned, all of us are looking at those therapy assistant, allied health assistant roles. So particularly if you are starting your psych degree with a view to move into a therapy role in the future, there's absolute value in getting involved. As per the earlier question, disability support work, particularly if you're passionate about working in the disability space, there's huge demand for psychologists and behaviour support practitioners and counsellors in the disability space specifically. So they're probably the obvious options, direct care type options, whilst you're still studying. They also give you a lot of flexibility. There's a lot of, outside of allied health, there's a lot of IT platforms or other organisations like Mabel, Higher Up, Like Family, who do disability work, and you can really use some of your therapy support skills or undergraduate skills and hone them and work directly with clients. And then that establishes you, as we said before, really well when you're going through to your allied health degree later on. So with psych, you need to know where you're headed with it. It's a long pathway for psychs. So, you're very much at probably more so than some of the other therapies at the start of that journey, but absolutely any direct care experience opportunities will put you in very good stead.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. That is about all we've got time for. Is there any kind of quick sign-off tips that you wanted to give the students that are still on the call? You don't have to, by the way. No, brilliant. So what I've also done for all the other students, so we've got now from moving forward, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 presentations. So they're going to be about 18 minutes each. So there's going to be employers essentially sharing what they do and just giving a bit of a presentation on who they are as a business. So if you want to stay in this stream, we've got Pepper Kids Therapy, we've got National 360. It's not going to be Belinda, it's going to be someone else. Ability Action and Vital Health. And then if there's other employers in the other stream as well, if you'd like to go into that. But I'll reshare the opportunities again for anyone who came on a little bit late. This is all the employers in this current booth. This will give you a bit of insight into who they are as a business and any jobs that they're currently recruiting for at the moment. And if you've got any other questions, feel free to reach out to me and the team. Thank you all for coming so much. Belinda, Liz, and Georgie, thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure you've all got places to be. So happy for you guys to jump off, and we'll kick off with the next presentation.